May I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word? I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
At Hode Gun and Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hode Gun and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners, a listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today.
Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported
Are you
station.
ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Price is subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming, public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back, Wood Ticks and Patriots. Just Jim in the bunker at Lake Wisheyebegon. You betcha. We do. But we stay at Lake Wisheyebegon for one reason, because we fight to make it a better place. Not like Lake Wobegon, where everybody has happy feet. You know, everybody's children are excelling. There's no disease. Everybody's happy. But at Lake Wisheyebegon, we don't have leaders. Leadership is non-existent, and they are part of a good old boy system. And y'all know what I'm talking about. If you're a wood tick, for sure you know, because you're part of it. If you're a patriot, you're on the outside looking in, trying to get it sorted out. But anyways, in the bunker today, we're going to talk about a story that hit in May of 2008. You're saying, "Whoa, Jim, why are you going way back there?" Well, interestingly enough, the technology for monitoring activity on the internet, either by surfing, email, has always been there. Cell phones has pretty much always been there. Remember, a technology gets invented, and there's always someone in some deep, dark hole, another bunker somewhere, that is conniving or taking a look at how they can monetize or even track how their systems are working. Well, back in 2008, Charter Communications, the fourth largest cable company in the United States, had started telling its high-speed internet customers it was going to keep track of every site they visit on the web. Remember, this is back in 2008. And Charter was going through an extreme acquisition process. They were acquiring smaller cable companies right and left. And on the heels of that, or while this was going on, in the state of Wisconsin, there was a defranchisation movement called Act 42, which was coming into being by AT&T. They were, let's call it business envy, or business envious of Charter's deep penetration into the marketplace with their franchise agreements. Now, what a franchise agreement is an agreement between a city or an organization, a government entity, to come in and put in an infrastructure. And guess what? It was exclusive. And for the franchise fee, if you look at your cable bill, if anybody's got cable, I don't have it, can't afford it, don't know that I really want to watch all the crap that's out there because I already know what I would be watching. And, for new listeners, and I'm sure I got a few, remember this is an adult show. Sometimes I get carried away. And if you hear that bell, that means I'm donating a quarter to some charity that at the end of the year, I add up all the quarters that I put in the jar, and off we go, write a check for charity. So my bad gets a little bit of good somewhere. But anyway, so just remember, Sometimes the kiddies might hear something they may not want to. I don't know that I've ever dropped an F-bomb, but you just never know. With all the village idiots running around doing all this stuff, you just never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Anyway, so the franchise agreement, you look at your cable bill, there's a little section in there called the franchise fee. And that franchise fee is supposed to be paying for public access, if your community. Now, public access, you go, oh, God, what a waste of the airwaves. You know, now hold on a minute. We produce through WPEG, government programming, as the commercial says, that we record and air Wisheyebegon. What's a Wisheyebegon? What you see is what you get. What they say is what you hear. No editing, start to finish. If they go into a break. We don't record it because you can't do it by law. And we will obey the law, not like a lot of the court jesters running around out there. We have rules, morals that we run our business by. And they're pretty straightforward. According to the open meetings laws, if you say it, you have the right to hear it, you, the people. And that's what we do. And I can't tell you how many times during the course of a month or a year we get said, well, Jim, you can edit that out of there, can't you? Well, yes, of course I can, but I'm not going to. You said it in an open meeting. It is what it is. So anyways, you make sure you listen to our programming because there are a lot of doozies in the background that you can hear. And we point them out every once in a while. But anyway, that franchise agreement is supposed to provide public access programming. You know, common council meetings, school board meetings, whatever else might be put forth by energetic consumers or customers in the community that would want to use the equipment. Well, since Act 42 came in, all the defunding, or the funding for public access programming for the stations has been 86th. And it's up to the city to establish and run production companies or television stations to produce their content programming. Now, in order to do that, in order to get a channel for your cable company to have on the air, they have the city or community that has this Act 41 agreement has to produce, I believe it's 28 hours of original programming every month. 28 hours it's if you got to edit it, that could be a lot of programming to produce, but it's not that hard at all. We do it. And for that, if your community has 50,000 people or under, you get 2 channels in which to air. And if you're over 50,000 people, you get 3 channels. Now, and for that, the community that you run your operation in gets a check of up to 5% of the gross revenues that the cable company makes from delivering their cable content to the community. Pretty straightforward, not a whole lot to it, other than guess what? As we say in our commercials, absolutely, we want to know what you're doing, but they sure do not want you to know what they are doing. You know, and they run their business, same as us. We get up in the morning, for day shifters, we get up in the morning, we go to work, and guess what? While we're working, they're having meetings. They're working. But nobody's ever there watching them. Most of the time, there's nobody there. You have no clue what's going on. Maybe they publish their minutes, maybe they don't. And there are laws about that. Maybe they post their meetings appropriately, and maybe they don't. And there are laws about that, including penalties on both sides. But if we, the people, do not get up off our couch potato yahoos and start watching what's going on in our local, and it isn't hard. They have to tell, any city government has to tell you, answer the questions that you ask. And if you simply ask, where do you post your meetings? Where are the meetings held? And that all has to be in a posting, and we get them. I don't have any handy here. Somewhere I do. I don't know where I put them. We get them by the deluge because we ask for it. We're press. We want to know where the meetings are. And we handle 3-4 counties here in the Northwoods. And we pick and choose which ones we want to go to. Until the economy picks up a little bit, we can't hire more reporters. But by God, minimum, we need 72 reporters. 144 reporters would be excellent. There's 72 counties in the state of Wisconsin, and for us to cover every county in the state of Wisconsin, we actually have the radio stations to fulfill all 144 counties with 2 channels for each county. Speaking of channels, how you get to listen to this program is going to be changing shortly. What we're doing, we have the signals. We're going to be changing our URLs or the listening place. We will update our web pages so that you have the appropriate new streaming links, so that you can continue to listen. But we will, and the reason we're doing that is because we've got so much content over on the streamers that we're just going to continue to let the government meetings and interviews and all that stuff run, continue to run on their own channels, and we'll just activate a couple more channels for me on this show. We've got another talk show in the works. We're working with a new talent that wants to come on and have a show. And that is what we do on the Dose of Reality Network. We bring people in. If they want to have their own programming, we will accommodate them as best we can from a financial standpoint, and off we go. But anyways, back to this story. So that's kind of the baselines for cable companies having franchise agreements. Y'all often wonder, how come I only got one choice for cable company? Well, it was because of the franchise agreements. And again, I think it was 2008, all the franchise agreements were taken away by Act 42 in Wisconsin, and it was opened up. So because now the technology from the phone companies had the ability to deliver television programming, internet on a phone line, not just a piece of coax cable that came in with your cable company. So anyways, Charter came out and actually said that they were going to start to track every site that their customers went to. The cable company will sell the data to a firm called Nebuad, which in turn will use it to show ads to web surfing Charter customers that are meant to be related to their interests, as in, visit a knitting site yesterday and see yarn ads today. So, with that thought in mind, does that relate to anything you're thinking about for tracking? Now, you can do some of that tracking anonymously, but there's a whole lot of it that has to be, if you do enough, how can I say this? If you do enough anonymous surveys, eventually you will be able to identify almost everyone taking your survey because of the answers that they give. And there's a way to market that. Charter started sending letters out to several 100,000 customers in 4 markets: Fort Worth, Texas; San Luis Obispo, California; Libtardville; Oxford, Massachusetts; and Newtown, Connecticut. And the letters were first turned out to the public. Now, this is interesting because if you want to go check your speed, how fast your connection actually is, you're going to go to this site. DSLreports.com actually released these letters. And DSL Speed Reports was really designed for DSL connections, though it will test your Charter cable or any other cable internet connection to see how fast you're actually traveling out there. Using data from the internet service providers for what the advertising people call behavioral targeting raises all kinds of questions about privacy, disclosure, and who owns the information about where internet surfers go. I called Charter back about this last Tuesday, and the company quickly put Ted Schremp, its senior vice president for product marketing or management and strategy, on the phone. That immediately set Charter apart from the other internet companies in the United States who have been identified as working with Nebuad, Embark, and Wide Open West. Neither of them would discuss the matter when asked. Now again, remember this was in 2008, in May. As a result of the letter, the advertising you typically see online will better reflect the interest you express through your web surfing activity. You will not see more ads, just more ads that are relevant to you. The letter contained a link to a web page with answers to some common questions, and a second link to a page that allowed users to opt out of the system. See? So now, and as a internet provider, I've always been of the opinion that we are not an opt-out world, we should be an opt-in. Because, and I understand the theory of mass or guerrilla marketing, make them just sign them up as part of the terms of use and condition and uses, and then let them figure out what they have and then opt out of it. I, on the other hand, take the other approach. Say, here are the list of things that we do. I can explain any one of them that we do. Which ones would you like to have tucked into your package? It's not highly. A lot of my competitors love me because I do that. I used to. We're not in the hosting business anymore. I suggested to Mr. Shrimp that there would probably be a fair number of customers who don't consider having their internet activities tracked to be an enhancement. He responded several ways. He said Charter convened focus groups of customers in 2 cities. Okay, so you focus. You know what a focus group? Anybody ever been at one of those things? They pay you to come in and answer questions. They're actually kind of cool. Sometimes you get some perks too, some swag. Let's see. Where was I? He responded several ways. He had Charter's focus groups in 2 cities and found that most didn't object when the program was explained to them. Parentheses, a crucial aspect of the NebuAd system is that it claims not to record personally identifiable information about users. Now, that's what it claims. And Charter has no way to monitor that. Actually, they would have a way to monitor it, but I'll guarantee you in the scheme of the business world, they would never spend that time, waste the resources to actually track it. You and I both know that. Come on. Let's get honest here. He said, while some people object to targeted advertising systems like Google Gmail, which displays ads related to the text of email users, emails that our users are reading, many others don't. And did you know that? And this is back in 2008. You guys, if it's free, it's for me. The Gmail, Yahoo, Live, whatever the heck it is that you use. There ain't nothing free out there. There's not a thing free. Somebody is offering you to use their resources, and some business had to pay for it, and therefore that business has the right to track and modify what it is you see while you're using it. So, and I don't know how many people don't get that. Oh, when I hear and I have a Gmail account, but I sure do not put anything out on a Gmail account that I would ever want anyone to see as far as personal information. If you want to talk to me, just Jim at thejustjimshow.com, not Yahoo at Gmail. I can't tell you how many business owners and business reps I know up here in the Northwoods who constantly, they have a great business going, but they got some yahoo.com address or they have some Gmail address that they use. What is the matter? I just had a conversation yesterday. Why, it seems like only yesterday, go back in the time machine, we were just talking about this in the business practices of rural America. It is quite different than urban America, the real world out there. He offered his personal view that the system was harmless and well within the norms of internet these days. Isn't that kind of, I don't know, a rationale, a mental rationale? Well, everybody's doing it. That's like Bonnie and Clyde with their excuse. Well, everybody's robbing banks, so why not get in an heyday? We are all doing this in an anonymous format, providing additional context to serve those ads. To the extent these ads are more meaningful to me as Ted Shrimp, I will have a better internet experience than the generic ads that are put out in Yahoo and everything online. So not everybody's doing it, is what he's saying. This guy should be a politician. He's got talking out of both sides of the mouth. This, again, is 2008. Now, you think if Charter Communications is doing this in 2008, do you honestly believe that the government, my government, the U.S. government, isn't doing the exact same thing? And who's checking them out? For those customers who disagree, Mr. Shrimp said, the Charter was offering the ability for them to choose not to be part of the system. I suggest that most privacy experts prefer opt-in system. Oh, wait a minute. What did I just say before? Opting in. Where information isn't collected until the user explicitly grants permission. He said that opt-out has become the norm for all targeting on the internet. How much money is NebuAd paying Charter for access to information about its customers? Mr. Shrimp wouldn't say. Robert Dykes, NebuAd's chief executive, said last month that the company was willing to pay internet providers several dollars per subscriber every month. Mr. Shrimp did acknowledge that rising revenue was a main goal for Charter. We want to leverage technology in a way that makes sense for our economic model. Now, that being said, that was in May of 2008. On the heels of that, AT&T posted a letter talking that it was considering doing the same type of monitoring. During that release, there were 3 more stories. I'll have my pup here. Oh, she's going to start to cry. It's not commercial time. Go lay down. Hello, Riley. You have the life. Sorry, you get the dog here at the bunker. When you're in the bunker here, you get my entire life here online. What? I can't take you. No, you go lay down. Go on. It's not time yet. Go lay down. She knows exactly. She really does know what time I go to commercial break. Anyway, AT&T started to do the same type of monitoring that Charter Communications did. Within a month and 10 days, on June 24th of 2008, Charter suspends its plans to sell data to Nebuad. Now, interestingly enough, it was a month they test marketed that. Now, since then, I haven't been able to find another article that says, oh, we're back doing it, or that they secretly went in and decided to monitor. But now this is 5 years ago. Doesn't this really ring true to what seems to be going on in our government? Oh, does anybody recognize this face? Come on over to the TV side, all you people, over on Ustream. Just Jim Show at ustream.tv. I believe it's Iceland has offered him sanctuary. I think it was Iceland or Netherlands, one of the two, Netherlands or Iceland, has offered our WikiLeaker, who is being trashed by the mainstream media and the old guard. Oh, we're worried about what he has. You're worried about what he has, and we shouldn't be worried about what you have? Somehow there's this huge oxymoron going on here. I'm not particularly feeling comfortable with that comment. And as most talk show people are doing right now, they're advising, keep an eye on the progress of the story on this young man. How it will degrade him, put him into such a bad, he's this crazy foil-hatted guy, and we need to stop him. I believe that he is rightfully on a note of caution with what he says he has. Now, I haven't heard that if he's got anything more. He says he's got more, or some other people or sources are saying now that he has more information to leak. What that is, I don't have a clue. But at the same time, when you see the forces gather around one subject matter that nobody else wants to accept, how many, in the last 6 months or last year, how many stories have you seen the gathering of the forces? And it's interesting that although Obama, the old village idiot, has tapped the AP holder, has tapped the AP telephone lines, where the AP wires have always protected and coddled the administration. They get picked on, and how fast did that disappear? Now they're right back to the coddling, to the quote-unquote talking points that are out there on a story. They're being fed this information. How fast do they go back and protect the administration, the good old boy? Because they're not sure really which side they need to land on. There's us, the alternative news networks, and then there's the mainstream. If you watch the mainstream, they're starting to pick up a few more stories. If you read, let's say you're connected to both, the alternative news sources, and I'm not going to name names, and you sit down and watch the news at 5 or 10, whatever it is, so not your local stuff, but the national stuff, 6 o'clock news, whatever it is, you're going to notice that they're starting to pick up a few more, let's call them not edgy subject matters, but subject matters that were only picked up by the alternative news groups, of which many are very famous. I mean, they're mainstream, I don't have cable, so I can't watch Beck. I can't watch a lot of the other ones, I don't even want. Alex Jones is way on the other extreme. But, 6 months after you listen to a story over on Alex Jones, you're going to find it over on Beck. And that, to me, is an interesting phenomena. And while it's not all that much change from the way Alex Jones brought it out, it now has become a mainstream alternative news story. I find that to be fascinating as all hell. People say, oh, you listen to Alex Jones, he's a wacko. He's got the foil cap on. Whoa, just listen to the stories and then see where it shows up over on Beck or one of the other, Hannity or one of the other shows. They'll pick it up, but they'll never give you credit as to where they got it from. That's the other side of the journalist side of this. We pick up stories. I got feeds coming in from all over the place, which is our next story. I just randomly went to a news line and decided I'm going to grab this country and see what's going on in this country. And that's what I think more Americans need to do. But the problem with doing that is you never know what's on the other end of that mouse click or that other news feed that you picked up. And that you will never see on the mainstream. On the TV side, you got kids in the room, make them go away right now. I'm going to show you something that showed up on one of the other news feeds. It is not endearing in any way, shape, or form to what we see going on in the world today. That up. I forgot to hook that up on the audio side, on the audio stream. There's 10 and 14-year-old children are being beheaded. And you don't like what you see, that's too bad. But this is the real world, you couch potato wood ticks. Quit sucking off of us, see the real world, and get a life that makes my America better. I'm not going to stand for you to take my money, demand that I pay for something. You need to get up and become part of the system where you live. And if you don't like America, I'm going to tell you, we'd be far better off as patriots to pay your plane fare to get the hell out of here. There's plenty of countries that are socialist, and they'll take care of you. You won't have to do a damn thing. Just go sit on your couch potato ass and play your Wii 2 games or whatever you do. I don't even know. Go out and occupy some town. Why don't you go occupy a job like the rest of Americans do? Pay your way, it is what it is, and work to change what you do not like. That is how America has gotten to where it is today. And with that, my pup, my Riley girl, who does live the life of Riley, has to be let out, I guess. What can I say? So with that, we're going to go to commercial break. You got Just Jim in the morning down the bunker at Lake Wisheyebegon. I will be right back.
You'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Wisheyebegon and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today.
Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported
Are you ready
station.
for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back. And yes, the Riley girl has done her business. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. You never know what you're gonna get here at the bunker. You just never know. Hopefully it'll be a little news and a little story to try and tie some pieces together. We're not going overseas today. Well, we're going down south. Next on our list is Tim's El Salvador blog. I guess that's the way you say it. Nice little story, and it was interesting because I like to go off and take a look at just throw a dart at the dartboard and see what you come up with for a story. And this was something that was written on June 10th. I'm trying to think his name. Hang on, I'll tell you his name in a second here. Well, doesn't really say. Just Tim. Tim's El Salvador blog. And I thought, well, why not? We'll see what he's saying. And I didn't have a clue who he was or where he was from. But an outbreak of fungal. His story talks about coffee blight threatens crops and livelihood. An outbreak of fungal blight affecting coffee plants, known as coffee leaf rust, is threatening the livelihood of tens of thousands of people in Central America, including El Salvador. And this is from an article in the Christian Science Monitor. This time is different, experts say. The aggressive outbreak has extended to more than 70% of coffee bushes in Guatemala, El Salvador, 64% in Costa Rica, and lesser amounts in Nicaragua and Honduras, according to a May 13th report by the International Coffee Organization. I don't know about you, but I'm going to tell you, I do enjoy my morning coffee. Now, what does this say? It's interesting how this ties into our economy, isn't it? Good morning, Patriots. Regional coffee production fell 17.1% in the past October to March season and is likely to fall 30 to 40% in the coming season, which begins in October. Now, not only will gas be going up, but your morning coffee's going to go up. A 30 to 40% decrease in these little bad boys. If you're over on the TV side, look at this. These are piles of coffee beans. Look at this. God, could you have a heyday in that thing? Could you make up some awesome coffee? Starbucks, eat your heart out. Yes. Increased migration In Central America, with a total population of 41 million, nearly 1 million seasonal and permanent coffee workers are expected to lose their jobs next season. You know, I guess I said I'm not going overseas, but does this ring a bell for an international economy or an economic outlook? Not necessarily good. And here, I just walked over to this. There it is. There's the store. I'm like Craig Ferguson. Yep, there it is. Yep. I just wanted to get a feel-good, who cares kind of story. And I thought, well, here's a blog. Somebody's blogging about El Salvador. Each of these jobs are providing for 6 people. You do the math. An independent coffee analyst based in Mexico City who predicts that the disruption to families will be far greater than just the economic costs. It's not something you can get under control in a year. Now, did you listen to what I said? I don't think you did, because I'm going to tell you what I said. I'm going to highlight it so I can say it a couple of times. And then we're going to talk about this. Someone in Mexico City, an analyst, a coffee analyst in Mexico City, said that he's predicting that the quote-unquote disruption to families. Oh, wait a minute. Let's hit the thought alarm here. Let's have 2 thought alarms going on here. What happened in Mexico not but less than a month ago? Who was the village idiot that traveled from America to Mexico and talked to a bunch of graduating college people? Huh? Any ideas? You betcha. It was old boy. And what language did he use when he was there talking to this graduating class? Apologizing. This is old boy. This is supposed to be the leader of the free world, and he's apologizing for the people who pay his paycheck, saying that he's not the one that's disrupting families. Oh, wait a minute. What did I just say? Disruption to families. Are we tying these things together here? This is the new rhetoric, the buzzword. We have, what's going on today? They're going to start to debate and vote on immigration. Oh, the Chicago Gang of 8 politics is now going to try and push the immigration bill. Here, I'm dead serious. I went out and got this article just because I thought it'd be fun to read about a blog. But do you understand how deep the buzzwords are going into every form of media? Hotshot in Mexico City predicts that the disruption to families that now we, the American people, are the cause of. Listen, it's a buzzword. When old boy is down there talking to the graduating class, oh, I'm trying to fix, we shouldn't be disrupting families. We should be reuniting families. Talking about the potential voters who, if immigration law passes and they're allowed to come to America, they can vote for his sorry ass. I'll give you the quarter. This to me is fascinating. How deep. This is just some guy's blog. And we'll get to who he is and where he's from in a minute. Other agricultural sectors, such as sugar and palm oil, cannot pick up the slack from unemployed coffee workers, and since devastated coffee farms are so often clustered together, pockets of unemployment soar. Well, you know that. It's like in the United States. We have pockets of corn. I mean, yeah, the heartland? Okay. You're going to see a lot of migration, he said, who is the 4th generation of his family to grow coffee in the Finca Santa Isabel, a large organic farm an hour's drive from Guatemala City. This photo essay on Flickr shows the devastation of the rust on a coffee plant in El Salvador, and I didn't go there to get it because at this time we're not playing extra videos, but we will be shortly, so hang on to your short shorts. The International Coffee Organization has issued a strongly worded report about the severity of the problem. Among its findings are, there's a couple of tables here. Do I have this? Hey, why didn't I put this online? Oh, it's my bad, boys and girls. Contains a summary of the effect of coffee leaf rust for crop during the year 2012-2013. According to the figures from Promec Cafe, total damage in the region is estimated at 2.7 million bags, costing the region around $500 million. It is expected that the impact will be even more severe in the next crop, 2013-14. On an average, over 50% of the total coffee growing area in Central America has been affected by the pest. So Juan Valdez, as the commercial goes, will not be having 2 sacks of coffee on the donkey going down the hill. Ain't happening this year. He's only going to have 1. And the incident rates are as follows. And these, as I said before, this is not a promising economic outlook. It really is not. And it is so weird. I picked this blog just for whatever, because I thought it'd be cool to read about what's going on there. And what do I see? Here's the incidences as follow. El Salvador does lead the losses at 74%. I'm not going to call them a third world country, but I'm going to say that they are a struggling economy, that they are dependent on very few economic strings. To lose 74% of a single dependent crop could be absolutely devastating. Guatemala is not far behind it at 70%. Costa Rica, 64%. Nicaragua, 37%. And Honduras, 25%. They're claiming that El Salvador, total area, hectares. We call them acres, they call them hectares. 152,187. And the area that's affected is 112,000 hectares. There's 95,000 people working it, and they're going to lose 13,400 jobs. Guatemala has 276,000 acres. 193 of them are affected. There's 500,000 workers, and they're estimating they're going to lose 75,000 jobs. This is going to gut this industry. There are 1,082,421 hectares, literally over 50%. 593,000 hectares are affected. There's 2,167,182 workers, 373,584, almost, I'd round it up to 374,000 workers are going to lose their jobs or be economically displaced. In addition to the economic losses, there's also been a significant social impact to take into account. Most coffee in Central America is grown by smallholder farms who will find it difficult to absorb the expected losses. It is estimated that some 374,000 jobs, what did I just do? will be lost in 2012-13 due to the rust. The report goes on to note that losses will be higher in the next harvest season beginning November-December 2013. So, you know that Christmas coffee collection box that you send for a Christmas present? Maybe you're going to only buy one and keep it yourself. This blight of coffee rust appears, according to many scientists, to have its roots in global climate change. Here we go. Al Gore's got the scoop again. Yep. Modified weather patterns have provided conditions where the fungus can flourish where before it was controlled. More on this aspect of the problem appears in a blog from the New York Times. Now, again, I just really thought I'd find something really interesting on maybe tourism, or because South America is due, Rio de Janeiro is supposed to have the Olympics in, 2016. I thought, well, let's take a look somewhere else down the coast or up in South America and see exactly what's going on. Now, the guy that wrote this is a blogger. He's been online since November of 2004. He's got profile views. 16,696 people have checked him out. So this is Tim's El Salvador blog. Now, what connection does this have to us here in Wisconsin? Well, I'm going to tell you. About me, here's his little bio. Tim. Doesn't give his last name, but it's Tim. I didn't grab his picture, so. Location, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Huh? Yes, this guy that wrote this is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Says I have been visiting El Salvador since 2001 in connection with the relationship which my church in Wisconsin has with a sister church in El Salvador. I began writing the blog in 2004 as a way to make information about current news and events in El Salvador available to other English speakers. I invite participation in the comments on the blog. So, there you have it. That's our connection between Tim's El Salvador blog and WPEG. They're from Wisconsin. I just find that fascinating. Now, back to that comment that this coffee expert based in Mexico City. Isn't it interesting how the language sticks? You talk to a bunch of graduating college kids, and you use that terminology, and it becomes the new buzzword. Obviously, you will not hear that buzzword here in America because we, the people, would get pissed as hell. Family disruptors, disruption of families. Is that what you do? Is that what your legacy is here, you patriots? But he goes out of country, offshore. You know, here, let's just take a look. What happened to the last couple of people who went offshore and opened their mouth about a president? Huh, Dixie? Huh, chicks? What do you think? What happened? And why did it happen? But I'm going to tell you now, the president can go not offshore, but out of the country and start giving lip service to foreigners about he's not the bad guy and we, the people, are disrupting families. But it's okay. I'm going to tell you something. It is not okay. There is no respect. Respect is earned. There hasn't been a damn thing that this village idiot has done that demands or deserves respect. There has been nothing but disrespect shown from his office, from his administrators, the people that he picked to help him run his new vision for America. Right there. You're over on a TV channel right there. That's the comparison. What do you think, folks? What do you think? 2016 presidential elections. This or that? What are you thinking, huh? You know that she's going to run. She's doing the politically correct thing. I'm resigning. I can sit in the wings for 3 years, and all this Benghazi crap, what difference does it make now? Will all go away because people are on the enter button. They type and they hit enter, and they're in the me here now. 3 years is more than enough time. They'll forget. And besides, I got 47% of the voters that'll follow me anyway, even though I'm not black. I'm the minority. You know, I'm a woman. They'll follow me. Patriots, you better start keying in to what is going on out there. This stuff is so predictable to those of us, to a lot of people it's not, I guess. But to those of us who really do take a look at how the boots are laced up, this becomes very obvious. And of those two pictures, Palin or Clinton, I'm going to say Palin's not running. But you understand the theory of the picture. Clinton's going to run. Well, and I got asked the question the other day, well, what about Biden? Oh, Biden's not going to run. He's not going to go up against her. I'm going to take 2 minutes. It's a couple more than 2 minutes. But I want you to listen to what I'm going to play. Two things. And if you haven't connected, you do need to connect with your local grassroots, I don't like. Have a conversation with your neighbor. You're going to find mutual ground by which to carry on an intelligent, patriotic discussion. I guarantee you, if you're at all concerned about any of the crap that's going on in America today, you are going to find common ground. It doesn't take much. Good God, I was sitting at the Walmart ammo display box, which is empty. And there was another guy who walked up. And I'm standing there thinking to myself, what is our administration doing? What is Napolitano doing buying all this ammo? And finally, some of the people out there that we elected to take care of us, to keep an eye on things, are trying to put a stop to the Homeland Security buying all this ammunition. You know exactly what it's all about. It's called gun control. They're going to have all the guns they want. We just won't let them have any ammunition. Oh, it's crap. And if you haven't looked at it, go snoop around. Go see what's available for we, the people, to go buy. Not much. Not much at all. But I'm going to tell you something. In the scheme of this the IRS crap that's been going on, I'm going to play you this lady's testimony. Listen up. Pay attention.
Our final witness is Becky Garrettson, president of the Wetumpka Tea Party in Alabama. Ms. Garrettson, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. I'd like to begin with a brief statement. I know that you're primarily interested in hearing about the abuses of the Internal Revenue Service, but I believe it's critically important that you understand just not what these abuses were, but what exactly the IRS was trying to stifle. In order to paint a clear picture, I need to explain how the Wetumpka Tea Party came into being. My husband and I had never been involved in politics before 2008. We'd always been patriotic and deeply proud of our country. We've always felt that the United States is the greatest country in the world. In September 2008, when we had our first $700 billion bailout, we, along with millions of Americans, were very concerned. That bailout was confirmation that our government was out of control. But just a few months later, in January 2009, we learned that our government was going to spend another $787 billion. That money went to foreign nations, failing banks, and unproductive industries. We were worried, and we knew we had to do something to sound the alarm. We knew that government had gone far beyond its habitual deficit spending. The government was mortgaging America's future. And we knew that Washington wasn't going to stop by itself. In the spring of 2009, we learned that others were organizing Tea Party events around the nation to educate and empower concerned citizens who believed their government was out of control. So we made our plans. My husband and I filled out a permit to meet at a local park in our small town. My daughter and I walked through neighborhoods handing out flyers for our April 15th event. When the day arrived, we were blown away by the large crowd. A few politicians came also, but they didn't speak. We wanted to give ordinary citizens the chance to speak their concerns. Our event had no party affiliation. I could not tell you if the attendees were Republicans, Democrats, or Independents. It didn't matter. The only political notion expressed was one that we collectively felt, that our representative government had failed us. And that was the birth of the Wetumpka Tea Party. There are no dues, no price for membership. Our events are mostly educational. Whatever expenses are incurred are paid from donations, by donations and T-shirt sales. In Wetumpka, we are patriotic Americans. We peacefully assemble. We petition our government. We exercise the right to free speech. And we don't understand why the government tried to stop us. I'm not here as a serf or a vassal. I'm not begging my lords for mercy. I'm a born free American woman, wife, mother, and citizen. And I'm telling my government that you've forgotten your place. It's not your responsibility to look out for my well-being and to monitor my speech. It's not your right to assert an agenda. Your post, the post that you occupy, exists to preserve American liberty. You've sworn to perform that duty, and you have faltered. The abuses I will discuss today occurred on your watch, and it's your responsibility to make sure it doesn't happen again. Here are the facts of my case. We applied for a 501c4 in October 2010. Our $850 application fee was cashed 7 days later. We received a letter from Robert Cho dated November 2nd, 2010, stating that our application and our user fee payment had been received. It also stated that we should be expecting to hear from someone within 90 days. However, the IRS did not initiate any contact with us for another 459 days. That was when I received a letter from the Cincinnati office dated February 3rd, 2012. That letter stated that they could not process our application until we completed the enclosed questionnaire, which requested approximately 90 pieces of additional information about our organization. The questionnaire stated that if the additional information was not returned by February 24th, our case would be closed. The demands for information in the questionnaire shocked me as someone who loves liberty and the First Amendment. I was asked to hand over my donor list, including the amounts that they gave and the dates on which they gave them. 501c4 organizations do not have to disclose donor information. I knew that. Why don't they? Among the demands that I found alarming and inappropriate were, they wanted me to identify all of my volunteers. They wanted to know if any of our donors or volunteers had run or would be running for office in the near future. Remember, this was the 2012 election cycle. They wanted us to identify the office they would be running for. They wanted us to provide detailed contents of all speeches ever given, the names of our speakers and their credentials. They wanted copies of written communications and contents of all other forms of communications to any